Sup nerds, I'm Tom.
I'm Wes.
And we're taking a look at the really innovative crime-solving mystery board game, Chronicles of Crime. Oh, he's looking at it. He's holding the glasses backwards.
What? No, I'm not.
Oh yeah, you weren't.
So in Chronicles of Crime, you are a detective, or you're a group of detectives that are going around trying to solve a specific crime. So you talk to the sergeant, whoever's at Scotland Yard telling you what to do. He gives you a case, and he gives you where the body is and maybe a lead, and then you just go out and solve it. And so throughout the game, you're going to different locations, you're talking to people, you're finding clues, and it's really interesting because you have to talk to the right people about the right clues in order to get more leads and continue solving the case. And there's even timing where you have to talk to this person, find this clue, talk to this person about the clue, they won't tell you anything, and then you go do something else and come back, and now they'll talk to you because somebody else died or something else happened that makes them say, okay, I'll talk now. So it's a lot, it feels like you're really trying to solve a crime.
Mm-hmm. And it should be important for us to note, with the exception of what Wes just said, we're going to do our best to stay away from spoiler territory, because this is one of those games where you learn stuff as you go along. So of course, you're solving a mystery. So we won't, in this video, tell you the answer to the mystery, but how you go about doing it is exactly what Wes says. There's an app that goes along with this where you scan people. You'll scan people to be interrogating them, and then you'll scan other people or other clues to ask the person you scanned initially about those other people or clues. But what's really cool is we said clues. So how do you find clues? It's possible that some characters just prompt them, just give them to you, but there's also this one feature where there's a button that says search for clues. You could be at the crime scene, or you could be at another suspicious location, and you actually get to do, there's a virtual reality glasses you can hold up to you, or you can just hold your phone up, and it's this 360 thing where you're scanning around and you look at actual clues that are out there. You'll see, you might see the dead body, you'll see some stuff on the floor, you'll see some,
paraphernalia, this item looks out of place, or even really accentuated, it looks like it should be there, but the coloring is more vibrant on it. It's a little clue I'll give you. If you see something this really stands out to me, that might be something. And then you have a deck of cards where you'll go and say, okay, these are all the things I saw in a room. So it really helps having multiple people involved in this, because one person is looking around saying, I see this, I see this, I see this. Somebody else has a deck of cards, and they go through, because it's not always exactly what it is. You could say, okay, I see a bottle of off-brand whiskey on the floor, and then in here it's bottles. That's what you find, or that kind of thing.
Yeah, so you kind of have to get the most general thing. And sometimes, and the app you'll scan all of it, and the app will tell you if that's an important clue or if it's not an important clue, so you don't waste time, going down rabbit holes that don't really help you. But that is what you just said there, that is probably one of the few negatives, so spoiler alert, I really enjoyed this game, but one of the few negatives I have is the app and scanning things and searching for things in the deck is the one part that can feel kind of tedious, especially if you have a small number of people. If you're passing the app around and you're passing you're passing the phone around, or you're passing the deck around to different people, you only do it a small amount of the time. But when you did it with just the two of us 3 and 4 is the best, but we did it with just the two of us once, and that was, after a while you were just here, take it back. And I also, when I demoed this game back at Dice Tower Con, I demoed it by myself because he hadn't gotten there yet. And the demoer was just telling me what to do. So I was scanning everything all by myself. My shoulder started to hurt. I was like, okay, I need, you want to, and also you want to have a group just so you can bounce ideas off of each other. Ooh, maybe, because it's deeper than just the information you get from scanning.
Yeah.
You have to think about, what does that mean? Why would this person do this? There are things that, when I got information later, I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. That's why this was I should have saw that.
It was very much you'd meet somebody and you'd talk to them for a while, and you go talk to somebody else about that person, and they would they could tell you information about the person you used to talk to, be oh, I need to go back and talk to them about this thing that I found over here and see what they know about it. And then you also have your team of people back in the lab that you can call. So you can call the person doing the autopsy, or you can call a hacker, or you can call someone who's really good at a forensic scientist with physical evidence, and say, hey, I found this thing. What can you tell me about it? And sometimes they're I can't tell you much. It's this. Or sometimes they're oh, give me time, and I'll work with it and see what I can find. And there actually is like a timer in the game, and not like something like unlock games.
It's not real time.
Yeah, but it's every thing you do is a unit of time, and you don't always know what it does. But as you're like asking questions and scanning things, you can see your timer kind of ticking up. Mm-hmm. And after a certain amount of time, you can go back and maybe they have information for you on it.
Mm-hmm. That is really cool, and that is one thing. So, one thing that I think separates this from other games that are similar to it. So first of all, Detective by Portal Games also came out around the same time. So we haven't played as much. I played more of this. We only played the one demo scenario, and they felt very similar. And I will say offhand right now, I feel like I like this one better, but I don't know if it's a perfect comparison. After we might do a video after we play more Detective or something, but that one also has like, so when you're trying to solve a mystery, how do they make it challenging versus you just reading stuff? Well, they need to put a time constraint on it. So this does that. But I like how the app is in control of that time constraint. Because in Detective, you controlled the time yourself. And same thing with Time Stories, you controlled the time yourself. And it was like, just to get a better score. And in this one, you're trying to get a score. But like in Time Stories, it'd be like if you had to do 3 or more loops, it's like, look, you have the lowest score possible. Just do as many loops as you can to solve the mystery. Mm-hmm. In this, I feel like you are always feeling that pressure. Because if you don't, it's not just a score. It will stop you. You know what I mean? When you run out of time, you run out of time. It's not just saying like you can't game it. You can't say let's just do a little bit more, or let's just do this, or hey, now that especially that Time Stories thing kind of always bothered me. It's like, oh well, we just get to a point where we have the lowest score possible. It doesn't matter how much time we take now anymore. Yeah. So I'm really glad that this game doesn't have that portion of it.
The other thing I like about this game, and Detective does it too. I haven't played Time Stories, so I'm not sure. But our first game, it was a surprise because it was saying like, hey, go out and investigate this case. And we went to solve it. And it's not just who killed him. It's who killed him. Why did he kill him? Did you find out about this other thing going on? Did you find the murder weapon? Did you find where the murder weapon, like what they did to do with it? Like there's all these different things that you can solve that create your score. So you can solve the murder or whatever the crime is and then say, okay, well, we solved the crime, but we don't know why he did it. Or maybe like we know why he did it, but then this other thing was going on that we never really found out about. But it's really cool that you're not just trying to solve the murder. It's not Clue, like it was Mr. Green in the pantry with a candlestick.
Well, even that's a couple of things.
It's a couple of things.
But it's not just who did it, that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing I will say about that, and I guess I'm reaching into another pseudo-complaint, is there were times when, like, you'd say, why did they murder this person? And I know why they murdered it, but there's enough, but in order to answer these, you just scan stuff, right? Who murdered him? Scan this guy. Why?
Because of this thing.
But that's the thing is there was the last time you and I did it, I was like, well, there's like 4 different cards that in theory pertain to the thing that I think is why he did it. So I don't really know which of these 4 cards is the accurate one. Like, what's the closest? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
And it doesn't even tell you at the end, like when you get the solution afterwards, it doesn't say these were the right answers. It goes through, if you hit solution, it tells you the story of like, this is what went on and this thing happened and kind of how you would think about it. But it doesn't say, these are the cards you should have scanned. And maybe that's so that if you go back to play it again, you don't know the answer. You just know the story, and you can still go try to find those things and still like, all right, I think it's this.
And again, it is really important to get into that story. It's not just scanning stuff and getting the information there. It's like really thinking about what that means and why, and trying to put it together. And maybe you might even need to take down notes, because again, there's a lot of things that are like,
who's that guy again? And what?
Yeah, that is a big. That is
who told us about this guy? Because we need to go back and talk to them. And like, there is definitely some of that.
There's a lot of the web between people.
You definitely want to have like strings that you're like making your little like crazy person conspiracy.
Mary, Mother of God! Was I crazy? Or was I on the verge of something?
I will say that the first game we played, it was the really easy one, and it almost felt like you were just following, like it was very clearly laid out in front of you. do this, talk to this person. They said go to this place and talk to this person. And you just like follow the chain and then you solve it. The harder cases though, there is definitely like, I think it's this person. And like you can almost like, you know how in like old like early 2000s crime shows, they always like the first person you meet is probably the killer, but then there's somebody else you meet that you think is like, they want you to think it's that person, but then at the end it's like, no, it's the person you met at the beginning. Like there's a little bit of that stuff going on, but there really is stuff you have to sit and think about and put clues together. And like at one part we got stuck and we were like, we need a clue, we need a lead. So we just started saying, okay, let's just remember this thing we found. Let's go back to that location and look into it further. Let's call our lab and see if they can give us more information on it. And we almost had to go and really dig for a direction to go, which again made it feel like we were actually detectives, actually investigating this and trying to find the answer.
So on what you said there, it is possible that you can get stumped. So it is important to, again, remember who you talk to about what. Because in theory, like mathematically, the number of options you have kind of explode. It's like, you know, I have these 10 things. I can talk to these 10 things about this person. Talk to these 10 things with this guy. These 10 things with this guy. You know, so you have to talk about logical things and sometimes almost illogical things. You'd be like, there's sometimes I was like, let's talk to this person about this thing. I don't think they're going to know anything. Oh my God, they knew!
Yeah.
You know? And you got to utilize these people, the doctor and the scientists and all them. You got to make sure they really look at the evidence and stuff too, because they'll help you out a lot. Because you can get stumped if you're, and especially if you're, again, playing it kind of passively. If you're not really thinking about every piece of information you got and like the possibilities of why would this person do that? You know, the story in here is really deep and really drives the game, and it's just fantastic.
It's not necessarily a beer and pretzels game. Like you kind of want to be alert. You can't play it like at the end of the night as a cool down. Like this is going to be your game because you need to be sharp. Especially maybe like the easier ones, you could kind of take it easy, but the harder ones, you're going to want everyone involved.
Yeah, you could just end the night with the tutorial one if you want to. The only other complaint I have is these VR glasses. I actually don't really like them. I like it's cool and whatever. But you know, to try and put you in there. But I feel like the art and the way that 360 thing works, it still feels like I'm there if I'm holding it out like this. And I don't really. This feature I didn't care much for.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was a little bit easier without those, but those did help me feel a little bit more immersed into it. I think that's going to take a specific person. Some people are going to think they're great. Like we're not just saying don't get these, but I don't think they're for everybody. The other like kind of complaint that I had is and it's one of the benefits of the game too. We're talking about scanning the cards, and it's that every single thing in the game has a QR code assigned to it, which is a really cool way to do it. And so you're scanning the QR code with your phone, and I think that's a lot better than like in Detective, where every card has a code on it, and you go and type that code into a computer. Because it's a little bit less like steps involved instead of like,
clunky.
All right, what's this code? Type it in here. Click. Oh, that was the wrong code. We're not supposed to know that yet. Like, it was just scan, click. But because it's QR code, especially if your lighting isn't good, you can get a really bad glare on the card, and you have to like pick a card up and then scan it. You can't just like scan at the table. So that's going to be like depending on where you're playing.
But it's really only glare is or unless you spill something, because I thought the angle would be a problem.
No, it's not.
But it's not. So if you're playing in good lighting, that isn't an issue. That can be an issue, for glare and stuff and spills and stuff. But otherwise, you can. It scans pretty dang easily.
Yeah. I really, really enjoyed Chronicles of Crime. Like, the complaints we have were more just like things that we kind of need to fix. Like the glare isn't a problem with the game. It's just, okay, I just need to be aware that depending on where I'm playing, that could be an issue, so do my best to mitigate it. The gameplay itself was so fun. I felt like it was so immersive. We actually had like parts where like discussing it. It's not just like, hey, go do that, go do that, go do that. We actually say, okay, do you think we should ask this person about this or this person about this? And like figure out where to go, which I do definitely recommend you play it in a group. But however you do, I definitely do recommend that you try this one out.
I agree with Wes. It is really, like, again, I only played the one thing of Detective, and I've played Time Stories a good bit. This is my favorite of that variety, if that makes sense. The solve a mystery. It's not the same as an escape room, but between those three, I guess. If there's another one that I'm not thinking of that's solving mystery, I guess I never played Sherlock Holmes, Consulting Detective. I don't know if that's it. One other thing is this insert. Oops. Okay, so these guys
There's more stuff in
fell
the
out.
box.
Okay, so the locations fit. I'm not doing a good job of explaining it here, but these locations fit here perfectly with the people on top, and then this. Oh, that's why this thing wasn't popped on. But you have the people and the clue cards for the base game, and then this is for the Noir expansion, and then this is for the can't remember the name of the other one. We don't have those two yet, but
The off-brand Scooby-Doo one.
the young one, the Riverdale or whatever. I think it doesn't hold sleeve cards. We don't really need to sleeve them too much. You don't shuffle them really. That's fantastic. I can't wait to get my hands on those expansions because I'm serious. I love this game.
Yeah, I will say that in terms of not sleeving your cards because you don't shuffle them, you actually don't want to shuffle them. Every card is numbered. That's how they say you found this person, number this. And you go through the deck and find that number. So having all of that in order is really important. So when you're cleaning up and setting up, make sure that deck is in order.
Yeah,
That's
so
going to be a big help.
Yeah, so I guess that teardown time, setup time is easy, but teardown time takes a little bit because you want to put it back in order. You could just throw it all in there, but then that makes setup time.
And I was skeptical about the fact that they have, like, you can buy extra mysteries within the app that'll use these components. It's just like $4 and you get another mystery. I was really skeptical when I first heard about it. I'm like, I get that's a great idea for them, but now that I see that, I totally get it because it is a lot of work to develop these mysteries and hide these clues and all of that. So like they deserve to get paid for that. Absolutely. But it's also a great idea for them not to say, we're just going to make this box cost an extra $20 and you get all these mysteries. Like, buy just the box and try it out. And if you like it, you can invest a little bit more at a time to get more out of it.
Yeah, so like with this box, you can buy more, download more just different mysteries and stories using these cards, using these components. Those other expansions add new components and some of them new mechanics. Like there's dice in one of them and stuff. So there's still a lot of replayability, even with this just one box. But I definitely want to get those expansions though.
And I definitely think that you guys should click the link in the description box down below and order a copy of this game because it's awesome.
And while you are down there, do not forget to subscribe to our channel so you will never
be bored.
So I start marching my way down to Carol and HR, and I knock on her door and I say, Carol! Carol, I gotta talk to you about Pepe. And when I open the door, what do I find? There's not a single goddamn desk in that office. There is no Carol in HR.